Grace to you and peace from God our Father and from our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. We hear again from the gospel just read where Jesus says, "And the Son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son." The Father said to his servants, "Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring the fattened calf and kill it. And let us eat and celebrate, for this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." And they began to celebrate. What a beautiful, beautiful story about forgiveness. This parable that Jesus uses to teach about how much God the Father loves and forgives us. And yet, you have to understand that the setting here, Jesus was always being hounded by the Pharisees, Pharisee means holy one. These were good religious people. People that everybody in society admired. I mean, they looked pious. They walked pious. I mean, they just exuded piousness. There's such a word. And Jesus tells this parable. You know, it was, well, to back up a minute, Jesus would often hang around with less than pious people. Gals from the red light district, called publicans, where we get the word pub from. People that had hung out in public places or pubs. Tax collectors. Well, you got tax time coming up pretty soon, and that was like the tax man. And they collect for our beloved government. Imagine if they were collecting for a foreign government. Anyway, Jesus was hanging around with these people, and the good people were wondering, what's going on here? Why wouldn't he be more concerned about the good people? If he was the Messiah, why wouldn't he be hanging out with sinners? You know, and he shares this parable, and there's these two boys. There's the one who likes to have a good time, and then there's the good boy who's a little self-righteous. When you hear that story that Jesus shares, all of us have one or both of those boys in our families. We could be one or the other. There's the two basic categories we fall into. If we look in the mirror, we'll see one of these two brothers, either a little self-righteous, not very quick to forgive person, or somebody that likes to stray a little bit. We got the younger son. He didn't really care about his dad. In fact, he might as well have said, "Dad, I wish you were dead." An inheritance comes after a death. Give it to me now, Dad. Drop dead. Or give it to me now. And Dad, he gives him his inheritance. He'd spent some time with this boy since the child. He must have known that this boy, what he was going to do. Giving a huge chunk of money to a boy like this was, well, a little bit dangerous. He didn't really care about his dad, and a little self-serving, thinking about himself. He just wanted to go have a good time. And he did. He had a wild time. And he comes to his senses and he says, "Look what I've done. And not only look what I've done, but look at where I am now, feeding pigs." did pretty well. Must have had a wonderful dad. Just to be Dad's servant again. Just to be a servant of his dad's would have been wonderful. And then you have that contrasted with the older son who, well, he was bitter with his dad. Mad, in fact, that his dad would even let this riffraff come back home. He thinks rather highly of himself. Look at all that I've done. I've been the good son. Look at me. He's bitter towards his dad, bitter towards his younger brother. And, well, like I said, we've fallen into one of these categories, and neither one of them are flattering. But then contrast that with the dad, who loves his sons no matter what. In fact, this boy who winds up squandering part of the family fortune comes back, and Dad doesn't wait for him to come in. He runs to meet him. He's so excited. There's a dad who forgets about himself, and he's thinking about his boys. He wants what's best for them. He forgives, even forgets what they've done. And he's just happy that they're all back together again. It'd be nice if we could see ourselves as this loving Father, and none of us quite measure up. This is an image of God. And hopefully we can best reflect this image to others. And this is what we want to be like. But you know, we're more like the son who strayed. As we so often go astray, we sin daily in thought, word, and deed by both what we do and by what we leave undone, the good that we could do. When we come to our senses and realize that we not only fall short, but we're poor, miserable sinners. And it finally hits home. We come to our senses and say, you know, I'm not just pretty good, I'm the chief of sinners. And when we come to God and we say, God, I can't believe you would even love the likes of me. God clothes us with his righteousness. His white robes of righteousness washes our sins away in holy baptism, makes us his children, makes us heirs. Eternal life, it says in his holy word. He welcomes us. Every week we come back from slugging it out in the trenches, from straying. We come back to our Father, and he welcomes us and invites us to a lavish feast. And we have just a foretaste of that feast in the Lord's Supper that we celebrated Sunday. Calls us his children, forgives us, his unconditional love. It blows our minds. I'm sure that younger boy, after realizing what he'd done, he just wanted to be accepted as a servant. That would have been wonderful. Yet being welcomed as his son again, absolutely amazing. And for us, as it sinks into us, what God has done for us, and I say sinks in because it hasn't fully sunk in for me, and I doubt it has for all of you. It's a process of sinking in as we begin to realize what God has done for us, how much he loves us, how much he forgives us. It transforms and changes us. It leads us to worship him leads us to be more forgiving and loving towards others. It transforms us. That's what God's doing in each of us. Transforming and changing us from either self-righteous, judgmental, Pharisee-type older brother or a younger brother who just wants to have a good time, transforming us into his children. Changing us from people who want to serve ourselves, think only of ourselves, to those that think of God and others. May God continue this transformation that began in our baptisms. It continues throughout our lives. May we bring it to completion when he calls us home to glory. Amen. Now may the peace of God, which passes all human understanding, keep your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Life everlasting. Amen.